Well, hello everybody. Hopefully this video is going to be a little bit shorter. I'm wanting to push this bike out to you guys, but you all know how much I love to go on tangents. So bear with me, but I do have a very special bicycle for you guys that you may or may not have heard of. This is the Momentum UX3. So basically we have on our hands a hybrid city bike, maybe commuter bike. It's a very, very cool bike. It's a very pretty might be the wrong word for it. It's an odd looking bike, but something about it really drew me in. Another reason I kind of wanted to show this is because not a lot of people know what Momentum is. Giant now has a lifestyle brand, is what they're calling it, and the brand is Momentum. So by all intents and purposes, Momentum is the lifestyle brand to Giant, as Live is the women's brand to Giant. But Giant doesn't seem to be pushing this Momentum brand, and that's what's confusing to me. Like, a lot of people have no idea what Momentum is. To kick things off, I thought I would show you guys the UX3 because it's surprisingly cool. Like, I'm not a comfort hybrid kind of guy, so I gravitate more towards these city bike commuter hybrids. This one's pretty cool. Let's take a gander at it. So what you have here is the UX3S. This bike in particular is $580, so let's just say it's a $600 hybrid. I do apologize, but really quick guys, I need to make one correction. So when I looked up the retail price for this specific bicycle, I was actually looking at the 2020 retail price, and this is a 2021. But the actual retail price for this bicycle is $630. It is all aluminum. It has an aluminum fork on it. As far as the cockpit goes, it does come with like the Connect Trail stuff. This bike definitely borrows a little bit from the entry-level mountain bike genre of bicycle from Giant. So it's coming with a Connect Trail handlebar, a Giant Sport stem, and an alloy seat post from Giant. The saddle is also a comfort mountain bike saddle. So it's a saddle that you don't necessarily have to wear your bibs with not your bibs with shorts. You don't have to wear shorts with a chamois in them for this saddle to be comfortable, but I always tell people saddles are personal preference. Don't ever buy a bicycle because it's got a certain saddle on it. You can change that out later. It is fully hydraulic, which is pretty cool. So they come with the Tektros on it. It's a 160 rotors. Tektros are entry-level hydraulic brakes. They get the job done. Think of the Tektros almost like house brand, even though they're not really, I don't know, maybe like an OEM brake, and then Shimano is more of your name brand nicer stuff. These Tektros though, I have not had any problem out of them. No complaints whatsoever. I can say when something does go wrong with the Tektros versus the Shimanos are easier to operate and work on. I think the Tektros are just fine, especially for the application that this bicycle is intended for. The really cool thing about this bike is that it is belt drive. So you have a belt drive bike, that's why the chain stays look so odd, so you can get the belt on and off without actually having to decouple the frame. Cool thing about belt drive, why would you want a belt drive? Because that belt doesn't wear out. You don't have to replace it like you do a chain on a bicycle. You don't have to worry about keeping it oiled or rusting. There is a ton of benefits to a belt drive bicycle. So, you might ask, why doesn't every bicycle have belt drive? The short answer is it's not the most efficient form of cycling, especially when it comes to like your gears, that sort of stuff. So like all the belt drive bikes I've ridden, they feel like they've got just a tad more resistance. That could all be in my head. But then when you couple that with like my mountain bike has a 1x12 on it, everything has to be internal on a belt drive bike because you can't have a belt jump off and change gears, if you know what I mean. This bike's a 3-speed. They do, I think, a 7-speed version of this bike, but it's all internal. And the gear ratios are gonna be different than a standard bicycle. There's pros and cons to everything. I love the idea of a belt drive single speed. Although when I rode one, like I said, it felt like there was a little bit more resistance than a half worn out chain, which I'm sure there is. But the cool thing about belt drive, you just don't have to worry about it. And for the intended purpose of this bike, I think belt drive is spot on. So with the belt drive, what do you get with the gears then? So you get a Shimano Revo shift. So it is grip shift, but it is not like your crummy grip shift that you get on like $100 bicycle. It's the Revo shift. It is coupled with the internal gears on the rear hub of this bicycle. And they work great. They're not, I don't want to say that they're maintenance free, but there's not a lot of adjusting with them. Basically, you have to line up these two like yellow markers when it's in like gear 2, let's say. You line them up and then it shifts perfect when you do that. If something does go wrong and you have to tear it apart, it can be a little intimidating, but it's not, you can work on them. Just less goes wrong with these internal hubs with a belt drive versus like a normal cable and shifter situation on a mountain bike, if you get what I'm saying. The rims are aluminum, they are double wall, and they are 27.5. They do couple them with some pretty fat tires. I think they call them like the quicksands or something, but it's, for all intents and purposes, it's a good hybrid tire. That is going to be basically what the bike comes with. So what do I think about this bike when you see it? It strikes me as like a hardtail mountain bike. It looks a lot like that. They definitely, Giant, for all intents and purposes, definitely wants this bike to be like a city bike. I just know this is meant for a commuter that's gonna beat the crap out of it and not wanna have to worry about the bike. Almost like, think of it like a BMX bike. They're meant to take abuse. But the setup of this thing, you have the bigger tires, so a lot of the cities, I know Charlotte's this way, the roads are just very, very rough. You can take this off-road. I don't know what they're doing with this momentum thing, but I hope they push it a little harder because they have some really cool momentum bikes. This one included. This is a beautiful city bike. City bikes usually don't catch my eye, and that's strictly because my form of commuting is 15 to 20 miles, and I do it on my road bike. It is a suburbial commute, if that's a thing. So I did just want to show you this bike in particular and kind of introduce you to this Momentum brand. If you're looking for something that's similar to like a commuter style bicycle to get around the city, and you're partial to mountain biking, this is something pretty cool. What do you guys think? Do you think the Momentum line of bikes is even a good idea? Have you even heard of Momentum? Because like I said, I am not some genius marketer, but I haven't had anybody really, I've had one person go, hey, have you seen this Momentum bike? That's one. I don't know, Giant's one of the biggest bike brands in the world, so I know they know what they're doing, but I find it a bit odd that they are taking bikes from the Giant line, putting them in Momentum, but not pushing the Momentum brand. I love how the UX looks, but if we go to something like the Street, I mean, if that's what you're into, fine, but I think this bike is just hideous. Yeah, so this bike is supposed to be similar to the UX, like a city bike, something to get around on, but you know what this bike looks like? This bike kind of looks like the snake guy from Monsters, Inc. The chameleon dude, what was his name? Randall. That bike looks like Randall. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling. Hope you enjoyed the bike. If you enjoy the content, like always, like and subscribe to any bike that I can have my hands on. I try to at least put out a 5 to 10 minute video for you guys because I know somebody wants to see it. And I don't know why, but there's not many videos of like this style of bike or the entry-level stuff from Giant. So that's what I'm trying to bring you. That's all I got for you guys. I will see you all in the next one. Sorry if my audio is a little weird and echoey because the walls are getting bare in here. We're trying to get a new house and the market's really crazy right now, apparently. Who knew? I had no idea. Anyway, I will see everyone in the next one. Bye-bye. Catch you later. See ya.